We begin with the news tonight that Attorney General Adria Brathwaite believes authorities will have to look closely at whether any laws were broken by a recent newspaper expose about the sexual conduct of 2 secondary school children. He made the comment during debate in the lower house this afternoon. Well, there has been a raging debate since the newspaper published the article along with a picture of 2 students allegedly involved in a sex act. Some groups have called for the paper to be held to account for the decision, while others have criticized what they say is a society that prefers to cover up problems rather than find solutions. The Attorney General suggests that authorities have to take the action in the interest of the island's children.
There's a piece of legislation called the Protection of Children's Act, Chapter 146A of this country. And I hope that whoever has the power to examine that particular expose and that newspaper can do that and look to see whether or not this act has not been infringed. And if it has been, ensure that what is required to be done is done. Because I say, sir, we must protect our children.
Meanwhile, head of the Pure Sex Center, Ambrose Carter, says sex in schools is real and widespread. He told the CBC that the story and image on the back page of the Daily happens more often than some Barbadians want to believe, noting that he's been working in secondary schools with sexual intervention programs for more than a decade. He stressed that research indicates that more than 40% of students are sexually active.
It is happening, it has been happening for a long time. It is in all of the schools. This thing is happening in all of the schools, and not only the intercourse in the way that we've seen it displayed in the Saturday Sun.
Mr. Carter has also suggested that teen prostitution is also practiced in schools. And he says the Pure Sex Center will be hosting HIV/AIDS Awareness Week and recognizing World AIDS Day in December with several activities, including inviting an ex-porn star to talk to students and screening a movie named The Goodnight Kiss. Prime Minister Frundle Stewart says Barbados has to be very careful about the amount of land it allows to be taken out of agriculture. According to him, if government approved every application for change of use, there would be no agricultural land left. He made the assertion during debate in Parliament on the sale of a parcel of Crown land at Boscobel, St. Peter.
I was flabbergasted at the number of areas of very fertile land that have been left to lie fallow, areas of land that have been known to be very good for agricultural production, left to lie fallow, so that at the appropriate time, at the psychologically appropriate time, an application could be made for a change of use and hopefully to get past the department with that.
The Prime Minister has also been defending the Town and Country Planning Department against accusations that it contributes to many delays.
Attempts are made by professionals who should know better to mislead the department by submitting documents that are flawed and sometimes knowingly flawed in the hope that they can get past the unsuspecting officer in the Town and Country Planning Department. So they have to keep an eagle eye out to make sure that when they make decisions, those decisions are based on accurate information.
Government may consider introducing a small registration fee for its national summer camps. This from Culture Minister Stephen Lashley, as he piloted a resolution through the House of Assembly for close to $600,000 for the camps. He says the money requested under the resolution will be used to pay the caterers for the last 2 weeks of work for the camps, which have been growing in success.
It has evolved into such an attractive piece of social engineering that we have seen increased private sector partnerships and cooperation. Indeed, we've had some camps that have been sponsored by some of the leading private sector companies in Barbados. And I believe one of the strategies going forward, Mr. Chairman, is that we will see even more focus as we move towards that particular goal.
Opposition leader Mia Mottley has charged that government's policy of limiting supplementaries to budgeted targets is not being met.
This government, since the delivery of this budget, has found itself breaching in every matter that has come to this House, with the exception of the one perhaps at Boscobel this morning with the acquisition. Breaching the words and the policies outlined by the Minister of Finance, not just to this honorable chamber, sir, but to the people of Barbados and indeed to the international community, in whose confidence, or for whom confidence remains a critical issue.
Ms. Mottley called the move by the Democratic Labour Party to pay caterers at the summer camps patronage at large and pork barrel politics at best.
You cannot tell the country that you have to make this kind of adjustment and that you can tolerate a situation where people work full 40 hours a week and cannot get paid, and cannot pay their rent, cannot pay their mortgage, cannot buy food. You cannot tell the people that you just allowed the summer camp to take place, because they know as well as we do that they could have stopped the conduct of the camps after the national consultation on the 27th of June.
St. Thomas Member of Parliament Cynthia Ford has also come out strongly against the resolution to pay the workers at the summer camps, describing it as the politics of the fatted calf that cannot be afforded by Barbados in these harsh economic times.
It has taken this minister to come in the hardest of times in the life of Barbadians to come with a supplementary for more than $500,000 when the minister could have curtailed his travel, when the minister could, and the Democratic Labour Party could have cut out so many projects in the interest of helping other Barbadians to go forward. Welfare could have done with that $500,000 to be able to pay some bills and put some food packages in the hands of women with children to help them to feed their family. I will not support this, Mr. Chairman.
One of the two men who was hospitalized following a recent high-speed chase with police has been released from hospital and charged with several offences. Jason Omar Morgan, a 30-year-old resident of Waterford housing area St. Michael, appeared in the Oistins Magistrates Court today to face charges of going equipped, along with seven traffic-related offences. Police allege that Morgan went equipped with a ski mask, firearm and other items found in a car, which he was driving on October the 11th at Lower Grays, Christchurch. The accused man is also facing 7 traffic charges related to the high-speed chase. He was granted bail in the sum of $10,000 with a surety and is expected to reappear in the same court on November the 26th. Meanwhile, the second man held in connection with the high-speed chase remains a patient at the hospital. The hurricane season officially ended today, but not before leaving a final farewell for Barbados. In a bulletin issued just after midday, Met officials said a trough system was affecting the island, generating occasional outbreaks of moderate to heavy showers and isolated thunderstorms. This was evident as a CBC camera crew travelled through the Dover area and captured this pool of water on the playing field and more along the roadway. And traffic was brought to a crawl along the usually busy Wildy roadway, while on the stretch of the highway leading to the CBC, cars were bumper to bumper. Met officials had also warned of flash flooding across the island and advised residents in low-lying areas to take precaution. They did predict, however, that conditions would improve tonight and into tomorrow. Barbados ceded some of its sovereignty to CARICOM when signing on to the Treaty of Chaguaramas. This is according to Attorney General and Minister of Home Affairs Adriel Brathwaite. He was among a group of panelists at a discussion entitled The Myri Judgment, Implications for Caribbean Integration at the Arobaro Centre for Creative Imagination. It was ruled by the Caribbean Court of Justice that Barbados breached Miss Myri's rights of entry and awarded her damages. Mr. Brathwaite reiterated that Barbados is committed to CARICOM and suggests there is nothing earth-shattering about the judgment.
What might be the major issue would be the fact that we really have to change the psyche of many of our immigration officers across the region. I have been into St. Kitts going to Nevis and been asked, how come I'm going to Nevis so often? You know, I've been asked that. You know, so it's not a case where it only happens in Barbados. I saw a report recently that either 20 or 2 Jamaicans were deported from Trinidad. You can go do Google search in terms of deportations from, you know, from other parts of the regions, etc.
Former Senator Orlando Marvel, in his contribution, suggested there is never total sovereignty.
Because in several ways, by virtue of being connected to the international community, you're restricted by agreements made with the international community. We in the Caribbean seem more concerned about sovereignty when it involves fellow Caribbean states. We, however, quite willingly give up our sovereignty totally, basically, to the IMF, for instance. All states have given up partial sovereignty to the WTO in trade matters.
A survey that will determine the full extent of drug use within the secondary school system is to get underway in a matter of days. Come Monday, the National Council on Substance Abuse will undertake the Inter-American Drug Use Data System Survey in 18 schools, both public and private. The Organization of American States is providing funding for the project, and today a memorandum of understanding was signed between the NCSA and the OAS. Manager of the NCSA, Yolande Ford, expects the project will be completed on time and within budget. She says the OAS has provided assistance on a number of other initiatives, including the proposed drug treatment court.
And we already have magistrates who would be the judicial officers who will preside over the court. So there will be no additional cost there as well. Where we will incur some cost, however, is with respect to the treatment component, which I must admit is pivotal to the success and functioning of a drug treatment court.
And OAS representative to Barbados, Francis McBurnett, in welcoming the survey, says it is important to know what's happening within the school system.
A lot of interesting things happening in our schools, and really need to have a handle on it. We need to be ahead of the emerging trends. We can't wait until these things happen. So all this fits into that.
Fire destroyed a house at Butlers Avenue, Spooners Hill, St. Michael this morning. A 9-member team under the command of Divisional Officer Tyrone Trotman from the Probin Street headquarters responded to the blaze around 8:45. They say while it was not a difficult blaze to fight, its origin is yet to be determined. But Monifa Jordan, who lives next door, said it was a close call for her.
Well, I was by window with my baby, and I was feeding the chickens, and then I see a thick set of smoke just blow across, but I thought it was the side of my house that was burning. And then I left my bedroom, I went and looked through the side window, and then I see the house start to burn from the side door, and then it just started to travel fast, and my neighbor come and take the little girl from me, and I come outside, and the baby ain't even going to close because the fire was blowing across. And then some fellas come and help wet down the house and try to start the fire.
Another resident, Colin Towler, told CBC News the house was occupied by a vagrant and he had made repeated complaints to have the man removed.
And today the house burned down. They got one on the side of me and just one now burned. And they can cause another thing because it's bare parole living in the house. The parole man, look, you see that house over there? The parole man just living there and he burned up the inside and nobody do nothing.
The Barbados Tourism Investment Incorporated is considering turning the Constitution River into a commercial venture. That is, once the water quality improves. This was revealed by Project Officer with the BTI, Sharon Griffith, following a tour of that project and the neighbouring Church Village project. Phase 1 of the Church Village and Phase 2 of the Constitution River redevelopment are both slated to be complete early next year.
Where persons can come up the river and you can come up in a boat. So it should be a very comfortable river, a channel to utilize. But you would realize that it's designed to discourage persons from jumping into it and swimming in it. By virtue of the way how the banks are designed, you won't be able to do that.
After raising concerns about indiscriminate dumping, project officials have resorted to planting cuscus grass to act as a barrier.
To capture the one along the banks itself, we're planting cuscus grass to deal with the ones that come straight from the ZR terminal and persons that may pass by.
Well, today the St. Philip Primary School made history by being the first primary school to have a visit from the Governor-General of Barbados, Sir Elliot Belgrave, for their Independence Day service. This was part of the Blessing the Nation service held in the school hall. It was there that Chief Education Officer Laurie King spoke about promoting the Barbados brand.
We must maintain our preeminence by ensuring that the bar is raised and that the Barbados brand continues to be sought after. You students represent the Barbados brand, how you conduct yourself, your deportment, the interest you show in your work, the respect you have for yourselves and for others. That is what constitutes the Barbados brand.
Mr. King said that every Barbadian must remove traits of selfishness, greed, conflict and hatred. He says every citizen plays a role in contributing to the country.
All four parents from all walks of life can be described as nation builders. This morning, I ask God's blessings on all citizens, and I pray that every citizen will come to realize the role that they must play in ensuring that Barbados continues to develop socially, economically, and politically.
The winner of the Super Lotto has been told to invest wisely. Vice President of Corporate Communications of Supreme Ventures in Jamaica, Sonia Davidson, gave this advice to super millionaire Melvin Auer. Auer won $3,560,000 when he purchased a ticket on October the 4th from Sun Swept Arcade in Hull Town.